When I'm looking at all these layoffs, something comes very clear to me now is that if you are not in the executive realm, you are screwed and you are always going to be the one on the chopping block. And so today we're going to talk about why do layoffs happen and what do I think about it? Because I've got some serious change on this whole layoff perspective, and I'm going to talk to you about it today. So when you look at all these layoffs, check this one out. So this one is an article that said that the CEO laid a lot of people off and then actually said, you know what? Let me just lease a private jet for 50 million bucks, but I'm gonna lay off all these people. And I couldn't believe it, so I looked it up. So let me jump into a clip. I see you right afterwards and we'll talk about it.
Action News Investigates has learned UPMC is flying executives and doctors in a new $50 million corporate jet.
At the same time, the healthcare giant is laying off 1,000 employees. Investigative reporter Paul Van Osdal live in Pittsburgh's Mount Washington neighborhood with this story. Paul.
Well, Shannon, UPMC began leasing this jet last year. Now, they have used a similar jet in the past, and the hospital CEO tells me it's an efficient way to do business.
Okay, so now you saw that clip that no, this is no joke. They're actually laying people off while they are leasing a new $50 million jet. And they said it's a pleasant way to do business, right? It's a good way to do business. And that got my head a little turning, and I was kind of thinking a little bit, and I said, you know, how come the Arizona iced tea is still 99 cents, right? That can right here. So let's listen to what the CEO has to say.
Why not increase the price and therefore increase the profit?
We're successful. We're debt free. We own everything. Why? Why have people who are having a hard time paying their rent have to pay more for our drink? Maybe it's my little way to give back.
Would you definitively say that you'll never raise that
I don't
99
know
cent
about
price?
never. Not in the foreseeable future. You know, we're going to fight as hard as we can.
Okay, so now we saw that video, and the CEO said we have no debt. And that's kind of his way of giving back. So having no debt was kind of like, I was like, huh. And then I came to the conclusion, I draw kind of the conclusion that all these VCs, all these venture capitalists, these hedge funds, they buy into these companies and they give them loans. They want them to expand at a rapid rate. They increase profitability till the milk is completely dry, till there is nothing to take anymore, but just cut them fat off. And that means the people, right? So these VCs come in, they need to generate a return for their investors. So they do it at any cost. That's why, the music industry is so monopolized. That's why all these industries are so monopolized by hedge funds, because they just need to get people to return a profit. That's why music catalogs are a thing. They need to make it such a return for their investors. They need to make such a fast return on their investors because they have hundreds of millions of dollars that need to be dispersed into the economy to make a return. So they buy into these companies, and then they're like, "Hey, we need to take out. You need to make some money. You need to do this. You need to do this." And then they give them loans that they can't pay back, and so they got to let people go and increase profit margins. And other companies can keep the price the same, but like Arizona Icy did, but not everybody is doing it. Everybody is yakking up the price just to stay with the trend, stay with the flow, just, doing their own thing and just being like, hey, we gotta cut costs, so let's just lay people off. And I saw that 1 year ago, there were 1.5 million full-time jobs cut since 1 year ago, right? And in that same time, 1 million part-time jobs came about. Now, why would that be? Well, healthcare is expensive, right? Healthcare, benefits, packages, unemployment insurance and all that is very, very expensive. So I saw this video on TikTok from this woman who was in her late 40s, early 50s. And she said, if you're over 45, you need to be networking, you need to be doing consulting, because you never know when they're going to let you go unless you work for the government. If you're over 45, you're going to have to be super aware, because they might cut you because you're more expensive. You got a higher title, you got all this other stuff. Unless you're in the C-suite, you're good and you can do whatever. But unless you're there, you're on a chopping block. And Meta also said we're going to lay off middle management and we're going to lay off some executives. So now you're looking at it like, man, it's really, really not looking good. Yeah, if you're in the working class, if you're an executive for that other company that just got a private jet, man, you're going to be flying around private. They just leased a $50 million jet. So there is money around for people. They just don't want to spend it on salaries and on you. They just want to spend it on experiences, on luxury items for themselves, not you. So it is very, very sad to see that, because as you see with Arizona Iced Tea, other companies could do the same thing, but they missed the opportunity to do that because they don't have any debt. And that's why I'm saying it is so crucial for these companies to not take on any outside debt. Because if you're taking outside debt on as a company, you're going to be always slaved to the lender, right? You're always going to be under pressure. You always got to make that ROI. And if you have no debt and you have a nice fat bank account, you can weather out the storm, right? And I do feel like that it might not be the best company to work for, right? But I feel like Arizona Iced Tea got a huge loyal following because it's always going to be 99 cents. And prices have tripled for like everything in the last year, have like tripled. But that's still stayed the same. So even though that might not be the greatest company, bell goes out to, like a ring, ring, ring goes out to the CEO from Arizona Iced Tea, because he didn't increase prices. And I didn't even notice it till I saw that little video and I was like, oh, he's right. He didn't increase prices. How amazing is that? And so huge kudos. Really like it. Keep the costs down for these people. And he was right. He said that these people that are struggling to pay rent, he still want them to drink Arizona Iced Tea. And after seeing that, I'm like, yeah, I would drink Arizona Iced Tea actually again, because I like what he has to say. I like his philosophy on outlook, right? And so let me know in the comments below what you think about all this. If it's all nonsense or if I do have a valid point, because I do feel like once these VCs and these companies get involved and start lending out big money, you're just waiting for a disaster to happen, because they're not going to lend you that money for nothing. They want something in return. And these BlackRocks and all these other big companies, that's what they do. They just buy into other companies and then force their way into it. So it is an interesting world we're living in, I'm telling you, with all these layoffs. And I did a video yesterday was about, Walgreens layoffs, that they need to close down stores. And so we're seeing all these store closures and all these people that need to get new jobs. And I'm always interested in people that say, oh, the economy's doing great, they're going to get rehired. And my question is, who's going to rehire these people? Who is going to find, what kind of safety net do these people have? Because if you're not proactive and you're not already have something lined up, how are you going to find something now? Look on LinkedIn how many people have applied to normal jobs, normal, not even like senior or like super 6-figure salaries ones. No, it's like normal paying, 15, 20, 30 bucks an hour jobs. And when you think about it, it takes less time to find another job like that. But when the economy comes crashing down, it's harder for these people to actually get a job, right? Because all of a sudden there's like downward pressure. And what do I mean by that? When I'm talking about downward pressure, I mean that somebody with a bachelor's degree that wouldn't work for that wanted to work for 6 figures, that just got laid off, might be okay now taking your job for $60,000 that you had, and he has 2 master's degrees and highly qualified. And so he might take your job, and then you need to also downgrade because somebody with a master's degree took yours. So then you, as with your bachelor's degree or non-degree, have to, take a step down. And so the whole kind of pyramid, you kind of move down in the hierarchy because people start doing that just to pay their bills. And it is super sad to see Americans actually downgrade rather than upgrade, right? Like jump the ladder, they kind of downgraded. And now I'm just looking at it like all these people that are doing this right now are in for a rude awakening. All these people, because there's even more layoffs coming, right? Stability, is here, instability with all these, layoffs. People say, oh, American consumers fine. Have you guys seen the charts on credit card debt? Have you seen that you can put everything on credit cards now? You can even put your house payment actually, like something like that on like this special Visa credit card and earn points and all that, and roll debt into one and another and save the credit scores, and all these, credit repair bureaus are popping up, so we are in a big, big bubble. And when you look at these new dealerships, right? These car dealerships, that these people thought it was smart to buy a car over MSRP, and now they're so much upside down. And that is now, when you look back, was one of the dumbest things ever. That people went out and bought new cars, paid over asking price for it, and now the bottom of the market's fallen out, and people are so stuck with their cars and can't make the payment, but have now lost their jobs or are going to lose their jobs. And they probably have a new car or a newer one, and it's probably worth less than they wanted. Because that statistic I showed like a month or so ago was like the average car payment, is like the average car value is like -$6,000-7,000. And when you take that $6,000-7,000 and divide it by the average hourly rate, you're working a very, very long time just to make up for the negative equity. So it's just going to matter what's going to go first. Car market, housing, credit card delinquencies, foreclosures. Which one is going to be impacted first that's going to take down the house of cards? Because it just takes one incident where something happens where the market, isn't doing that well and repos are highly up, and then, it's going to take, Ford Financial Credit or something, or Toyota Financial Credit to say, oh, this ain't worth what we're doing because you can't sell new cars because Americans can't qualify for loans. So we'll see which one's going to fall first. I'm interested to hear what you guys think. You guys got some really good opinions, so let me know in the comments below. And yeah, personally, I think the credit card debt one is going to pop the earliest, because paying 30% interest or 29% interest on an average salary, like in the US making like $3,000-4,000 a month, you have $6,000-7,000 in credit card debt. That's 2 months worth of your salary just for debt. So yeah. And one person brought up a really good comment. They said, if you imagine the United States with no credit card debt, nobody had credit card debt, where would we be if we had no credit card debt? And I thought about it a little bit, and I said, we would actually be in a really good situation. And I feel like that's what's the intent of the student loan forgiveness, where they said, hey, we're gonna wipe out the debt so it can go into the economy. But with all these price hikes, wasn't even worth that, because these $300-400 you paid in student loan, that now is nothing because everything else is up so much. So yeah, we are at an interesting turning point, in the economy, in the US world. And people are saying, oh, it hasn't hit my country yet. You just wait, because everything starts in the US and then it makes the way across the globe. And if Americans consumer don't have the money to travel and go places and put it on credit card debt, and put it on all that, most likely other countries will then suffer because tourism and yeah, what else is there to say, right? So let me know what you guys think. I appreciate you guys watching. It's getting really hot. I'm in Las Vegas. It's like 95 out. So I will talk to you next time. See ya.